How did the name Alexander Wolf come up? Basically, was there any other name suggested?
Yes, they gave me a list of names which are all refused to take because we spoke about like stereotypical Germany, right? The older generations a bit. So also they gave me a lot of names which you could probably give somebody in 1993 or something, you know. So really old school German names. Hans van Gus or something like that, like really stupid names, stupid names. But it's, you know, it's up to them. Like I don't think they want to, like, you know, want to make me mad with that or just have bad intention behind it. They just don't know, because in the States, Smith and Miller and whatever, and everybody has the same name. If you go to China, basically so many people name Lee in the back. You know, in England it's a blacksmith or whatever. You know, so it's just that, and they assume that we still live in the Kaiser Reich in Germany, so everybody has to that Pfannhausen or whatever. So yeah, but I told them, like, it's definitely not good, and also because like Germany and especially the German press is very sensitive about get reminded about our dark past.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to come up with, hey, look at it, that's the blonde guy with the blue eyes, and he comes from Germany, and his name is Klaus van Gus, and he goes in with the goose steps and speaks with a very German accent. So I didn't want to have that character at all, because that's right away, yeah, just give me a uniform, and you know, so that's not good. So I choose, okay, so I refuse to take the names because I said them they're too old and they're not good, and that's basically a bad publicity with that, because of course the German gets super German.
I mean, it wouldn't even just reflect bad on you or the people German, it reflects bad on them as well. But they, at the time, it was a presidency, I can imagine they're just, you know, they're just thinking of random names that would associate with Germany, but you know.
Yeah. So, but always when you refuse to do something or when you reject it, you have to get an alternative for that, because you could say, yeah, let's do that, maybe not, but I have a better idea, and they're open to hear it, which was good. So I had the list down with names, and the first name on the list was Alexander, first name, and Wolf was the last name, but Wolf without an E, just the animal Wolf. Then was Arnold was on it as well, and Arne, because I had a comrade from the when I served for the German military, there was one of my best mates there, and his name was Arne. So, and I always try to find a way how to kind of like put a meaning behind the words. Wolf was number one. Then I had Fox, and the other thing was Fuchs. So German Fuchs is Fox. But the main thing was Wolf. I definitely want to have the Wolf because as we speak about the dark past in German history, about World War II or World War I, depends. There's also more than just war. It's more than just military BS. There's also a lot of like culture behind fairy tales, for example. And I grew up with fairy tales, but not like the Walt Disney fairy tales, because they took the fairy tales to Walt Disney and made it more like, you know, PG. The real fairy tales of, for example, Snow White and the Huntsman or just Red Hood, they are way more darker and way more sinister. And for example, in Red Hood, the villain was a wolf. And also there's another fairy tale about the 7 goats or the 7 baby goats, and the fairy tale talks about that the wolf wants to eat the baby goat, and the one goat was hiding in a big clock and wasn't eaten by the wolf, and then later on he had his mother find the wolf, and the wolf was totally like filled up his stomach with all the other goats, and he cut off the stomach and just freed all the other goats, and the wolf died in the end because the wolf filled the stomach with stones and threw it into the well. So it's pretty brutal, and that's like fairy tales for kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't imagine listening to this yet.
Yeah, just try to tell your daughter or your son. So. No, but I grew up with that. There's Brother Grimm stuff, you know. Brother Grimm's are very like sinister, dark fairy tales. Also, Red Hood. What is the Rotkäppchen is for German? you know, she goes through the woods and wants to visit your grandma, but in the end, the wolf pass cross your path and say, "Where are you going, little girl?" You know, so the creepy shit. So, and I thought because the majority of those fairy tales, the bad guy was always the wolf,
Mm.
and it's a German fairy tale. So let's try to pitch wolf, because I knew sooner or later I will betray a bad guy, or will betray the villain, or whatever it is. In the end, I turned face and then turned heel again. But I know I could pull off this wolf character in the way of like also the animal, like not the fastest, not the strongest, not the tallest, not the smallest, but also it's strong, it's fast, it's tall, it's also small enough to go through whatever, but it's tall enough to jump over a wall or something. So, and I personify myself with that, with saying, okay, I'm exactly that, but I can operate on myself as a lone wolf. I also can go with a pack. I can lead a pack. I can flow with the pack. So the meaning behind was straight up for me. And because wolf, you cannot copyright it. They put the E on the end to copyright it. Which also means I potentially can use it in the future again, because you cannot, you know, copyright an animal's name. But anyway, that was the story with the name, and I was very happy that they choose that. Or just, it could be Arnold Fox as well. So Alexander Wolf was sweet.
Yeah, it's a good name, and it's one that I think most fans will remember you for. I want to ask as well, because many times do that leave WWE, whilst WWE can be sort of very specific in sort of how they want their matches and products laid out. The Performance Center, I want to know, because it helps add a bit of polish for talents that are getting ready for TV. But I want to hear from your experience. What's it like training at Performance Center? Who are your go-to coaches? And what was the best advice that you were given?
Okay, so the best advice I give is be patient, because that's the hardest part of you wait for something what maybe never shows up, or you wait for something where you know, okay, it will happen, but it will not happen right away, because wrestling business is, let me say, the majority of the wrestling business is the right time, the right place.
Yeah.
And you have to be patient, and you have to stay focused, and you have to be prepared and stuff like this. And they always they preach that over there a lot. You have to be patient, but be prepared. So that's one of the main things. Like, who taught me the most, or taught me, like, when I started, usually you start with a beginner's class, which is Robbie Brookside, which I have known from Germany before, and he already gave me a lot of knowledge. But I had the chance to skip that class because of my experience and go straight into the next class, which was led by Norman Smiley. And a lot of people know Norman Smiley from the WCW hardcore days, where he was like the pony guy. But no, he's a legit wrestler. He's a legit catch-as-can wrestler. He knows like all this stuff, and he taught me a lot of stuff. Most importantly, I had the chance to work with him together and exchange with him ideas, because I knew a lot of like grappling and chain wrestling and all that stuff, technical wrestling as well. But he taught me a lot how to speak, how to communicate verbally in a match. And I never did this a lot. I did this a little bit, but not as much, because he always gave me great advice. Not a great advice. Always pretend you work with idiots, because the funny part on that is, like, you do not assume, okay, that guy is a total like idiot. So the main thing about that saying is, when you think an idea, the other person cannot look in your brain. You have to tell this guy, and you have to tell this guy with the at least amount of words to not have the whole conversation inside the ring. So instead of telling, hey, go back into my corner and just turn around and do something, you tell him, go back corner, face me. Stuff like this, and like on a right turn that nobody really can realize you're talking with the guy, because wrestling is real, if you haven't heard that. So that was a good advice as well. But then, like, as soon as you progress, you go into different classes, you go to different coaches. So also coach I want to point out is Scotty Doddy. He helped me a lot with the sanity character. He helped me a lot, like, to elevate that, because he's not all about the wrestling like Norman Smiley, but he's about the entertainment. We had sometimes exercises like, okay, give me a 5-minute match, don't touch each other. What? So just make something up with entertainment. You can do like simple stuff, but don't hit each other, don't bump each other, don't punch each other. But just give me something where I right now will not be bored about you do nothing but do something with character and everything, which
Yeah.
is pretty interesting because first you think you're crazy, but no, you learn a lot of details. And in my work with Sanity, he helped me a lot to elevate my character, just to put bits and pieces in that character. Might things you realize, might things you haven't realized, but after seeing it and I'm explaining something, you would say, ah, that's what he's talking about. So I had, for example, for the entrance, always like a weird, I did always with my finger this, and that's sometimes a tick. When I think about stuff, I do kind of this. It's like when you would have a pencil in your hand, and you spin the pencil, right? So, and then I always do them with my fingers. Kind of helps me sometimes calm down, but it's a natural habit. So, and once we sit together and watching matches, and talking about what could we do better, and I'm kind of sitting there and try to write something down, and he said, what are you doing there? I said, I don't know. It's just something. He said, do it and you put it in your character. Do it on the point where people watch it, you where I kind of do this. And I always put it in my entrance that I came down and always did this. And people thought I'm playing a bass guitar or something.
But
no,
it's just because
it's like it's a neurologic stuff when you kind of like you get your fingers together. And sometimes it helps me focus. So stuff like this, for example, or he picked out some other stuff.
Yeah, just little details like that. This is so interesting.
Yeah, he helped me a lot with that. Then also Terry Taylor was one of the coaches you kind of like go to before you have the chance to go up. He taught me also a lot of like working with the crowd together, get the most out of something. So instead of just doing moves, just sometimes slow down and just take your time with something till they give you a reaction and then go with them. Stuff like this. And one of the coaches who kind of influenced the majority of the main roster, the majority of the main event guys in NXT, and I was privileged enough to spend a lot of time with him. Also was Shawn Michaels. He was a guy who said, everything what you guys do, we not being able back in the day to do even half of it. So keep doing what you're doing, but sometimes he put the stuff what we do, the moves or the sequences, put in the right place to get more out of it as well. And he also gave me, for example, great advices in how to not get brain fucked, because sometimes you have like so many different opinions in your head, and you need to. So he taught me, for example, filter through, like use that what you think it's value for yourself, but stuff what is not value, don't disregard it, just take it and don't use it, but you know it, so but don't keep it on you and feel like you have to do it because the person said it. Always be true to yourself and what you want to portray as a character as a whole. Use that where you feel like it's good, and if somebody tells you it's not good, then maybe change it up, but do not change it up because somebody has a different opinion about something. Because he mentioned also wrestling is like art. Everybody paints his picture perfect. In the end, it's up to who makes the most money with the painted picture. So, and that was pretty cool advice. Training in a performance center was amazing because you had a lot of time, and the whole facility in a whole is great. I haven't seen a place like that somewhere else. And also sometimes was hard because you had sometimes 3 hours in the beginning, 3 hours ring sessions. Now it's just 2.
Yeah.
And 1 hour or 2 hours gym. So you come out of bumped out 3 hours ring session, you go straight into the gym. Maybe after half an hour break, but then you have to go to the gym and lift some heavy weights. So the training schedule was pretty intense, but it went better after probably some people got a little bit more, not really major injuries, but smaller injuries. So they went down to 2 hours. So you had like intense 2 hours, depends which coach, depends which week, but training was always fun. And sometimes it was a little bit forcing because you want to wrestle and you bumped out from the weekend, then you have to go back again in the ring, and so sometimes you have to force yourself. But in the end, you got paid for that, so it wasn't that big of a deal to motivate yourself, because you wake up at the time, you have to be at the performance center around 9 in the morning, which was the earliest, but it wasn't even that early. Before I signed with WWE, I had daytime jobs where I had to get out at 5 in the morning. So, and you got paid good money for that. So all worth it.
No, I kind of, became a fan while she was talking and telling me, like, especially like the Shawn Michaels and Scotty Tuatore and the stories. I can imagine you've got some seminars, books or something, because I think I can imagine there's more stories and like how much, how important it is. That was really good. I'm definitely sure the listeners are going to definitely enjoy that. Did Nigel McGuinness come up with the nickname for you, the Dresden Hatchet Man?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Because the story behind it is we, from Imperium that day, we all had a specific calling. Walter, the ring general. Fabian is the equalizer. Marcel Bottel was the agitator. And then we had to came up for a name. And I was trying to use X-Men, but it's my intellectual property, so they would not. Nigel called me X-Men as well, the X-Men from Dresden, which was pretty sweet. But WWE wasn't doing something with it, and I was not really trying to do something with it. So we asked, like, what could be the persona I am, because I was the guy for the dirty work. I would kind of like, the other guys are more like the tag team. Walter's the ring general. I would be the other singles guy, but I would kind of like, because not the equalizer, because Fabian was more the equalizer, because he was kind of the guy who takes over the match and then keeps on doing. But I would be doing things because of my past with Sanity, where nobody would kind of like do that. And then he came up with, it could be kind of like a hatchet man. Oh, hatchet man, that sounds great. A hatchet man is, it's like you order somebody, or you know, it's like a mercenary, but just like a killer. It could be a hatchet man. So, okay, let's do this. So that's why Nigel is he gets all the credits for that.
So I really liked it. But my mate Stephen wants to know, and his last question, Stephen Haynes would like to know: was it cooler for you personally to be in the WWE video game or to get a WWE action figure?
Wow, both. It's like two check marks I took off my bucket list. The video game, I would say the action figure more. No, video game. So here's the thing. I love the WWE video games.
Yeah.
Until they got shit.
They're so bad, aren't they?
The first video games, SmackDown 1, 2, 3, just bring it. Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain. For me, Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, the two best. Because I'm a PlayStation guy, and a lot of guys would say.
Because I think No Mercy is a little bit overrated, and I know people in the comments right now are going to kick but it is a little bit overrated.
I was never an N64 guy, so you know, have mercy on us. No, but after that, some of the video games came out being great as well. But like, I haven't played it for a while, and then I remember when I got a copy of the 2K. No, I stopped playing the 2K games because they reinvented all the time, like the controls again, and I hated it.
Glitches as well.
Yeah, and then they didn't work together with THQ and Jackies again, and so, and then I got all the years when I started 2015. I got all the year like the copies of the 2K games, and I tried it again, and I had to play it and just almost smashed the telly. Just almost so much full of rage with that. Because I couldn't control it, and it was shit. So that's why it was cool to be in the video games. I didn't play it, and I was not happy with the motion capture. So whoever did the motion capture, read between the lines. Because it was not authentic, not even between me. Like some other guys, I remember seeing the motion capture for Ciampa, and he looked like he's possessed or something, you know. So just to say it lightly. No, but I wasn't a fan like on that, but it was cool to be in a video game, to be on 2 video games with that. But I believe, I would choose this as the cooler.
That is such a wicked figure.
As a kid, I was a big fan on action figures.
Yeah. A few weeks back, you had a match with Killian Dane on NXT when you were unfortunately kicked out of Imperium, so it's been a bit of a downer. But at the time the match taking place, did you know that would be your final match for the company? Because I actually thought it might have been leading to like the revival of Sanity or something with Killian Dane personally.
That was this. I had the same thing. That was the same thought I had in that time, because all of us being like, oh, they kick me out right now that quick? Okay, why not? So I thought like, okay, because the plans before the pandemic hit was to bring Sanity together and have them feud against Imperium. And then Sanity would stay on the US brand of NXT, and Imperium would be longer for a while in NXT UK. But things changed because of the pandemic, and that's why I thought, okay, we're doing it right now, even if I was followed or released. So that being said, I wasn't aware of I would get this bad message the day after that they will not renew my contract. So no, I was not aware of. But in the end, looking at that picture, it's a perfect picture. You know, I had the chance to work with one of my best friends my last match in WWE, and I got sent off by two of my other great friends in the wrestling industry. So they look great with that, and from here on out, they hopefully will get the titles back, because they're great guys and great workers. So in the end, it looked a little bit sour. And in the end, it was a little bit like mother effers, but it's better than nothing in my opinion. And if some people would spit at him, you know, but I have no reason for that, because again, they could make me disappear like without explanations and don't care. But in the end, they used me again for an angle. They closed that chapter, they closed that story. I have the chance to close it for myself, and then in the end, everybody's good.